Woo! That is such a cool amplifier right there. Guys, welcome back. This is Eric here with Guitarsenal. I couldn't help myself. I just had to do it. I had to just take this Magnatone M8 and just crank it. Crank the mess out of it. My ears are a-bleeding. My fingers are a-bleeding. But all is well. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be taking a quick look at this Magnatone M8. Magnatone amps are sort of their own animal. They're really cool. Some folks don't really know about the older Magnatones, some do. When a lot of people think old amps, they probably think Fender, maybe old Gibsons, things like that, maybe old Supros. Amps like the Supros, amps like the Magnatones, they're making a good bit of a comeback. I mean, they honestly, you know, they make new Magnatones now, they make new Supros now. So a lot of folks are really sort of doing a lot of, I guess, rock and roll archaeological research, okay? And they're finding out that a lot of these old school rock cats and blues cats weren't necessarily using Fender or Marshall amps or Gibson amps. I mean, they were using some Magnatone, some Supros, some old Sears and Roebuck Silvertone amps, any kind of old school amp. And the Magnatone it was at one point almost sort of a forgotten entity of the rock world. I mean, they have their uses. The M8 specifically was used a good bit by Buddy Holly. Used this style of Magnatone amp. I don't know about the M8 specifically, but when he played with the Crickets, he ran Magnatone amplifiers, and I'm pretty sure he ran the Suitcase style of amps like that. And right now, this amp is completely dimed. It's turned up all the way. It's about a 13 or 14 watt amplifier, if I want to remember correctly. The cool thing about the Magnatone amps is that there's a lot of good specs out there on them. Schematics are available, and there's many tube charts and different informational pieces out there you can get about them. Magnatone, once they started having their stuff manufactured by Etsy, they had varying amounts of these different amplifiers that they did, like an M4 all the way up through like an M12 or an M14 that they did. So the M8's kind of the middle of the line. They did get a little bit bigger in power as far as I know, but also basically what the M8 is an M6 with reverb. So the different model names just had different configurations. Like they had a model that was just basic, like 3 or 4 knobs, real simple. They had a model with vibrato. Then they had different models that had different stages of vibrato that could give you a little bit more of like a stereo style vibrato. Then they had models with reverb, without reverb. So all of those different model names sort of come into play with that. It is a Suitcase style amplifier, so for its size, it's actually relatively lightweight. If you just take these screws off on the side here, you can actually pick the entire unit up and flip it around the other way. So the speaker, obviously, is facing towards me. But let's say I wanted the knobs to be on the other side of the amp. All I'd have to do is take those 2 bolts, and it's made to be modular where you can flip it up, or pick it up and flip it around if you want the knobs on the back side of the amplifier. And the cool thing is the pilot light on the amplifier, you can see from both sides of the amp for that reason. A little tidbit of information, a little info drop, okay? It is one 12-inch Jensen speaker. It's not a humongous magnet on the speaker. It's one of the cheaper Jensens, but it is an original like mid-60s Jensen speaker that's in this amplifier. It has a pretty gnarly reverb tank. When you pull the chassis apart, the amp is basically like in 2 pieces. You've got the reverb tank sort of like attached to the back of the amplifier. And you got this whole bird's nest of crud in there, all kind of cool stuff. So they are really well made, and they have some glorious sounds. Right now we are jumping both the inputs, and we've got them cranked. We're going to let the volume on the guitar do the work like I was doing in the intro. Hopefully making her sound really nice. The foot switch that I'm running down here is actually the foot switch from my Magnatone 480, but it works equally well on the M8 to turn the vibrato on and off. Now, this does utilize a harmonic, or not harmonic, but an actual pitch shifting style of vibrato that we'll demonstrate for you. And hopefully I'm not terribly out of tune after that expenditure of notes in the intro here. All right, so here's the guitar maxed out. That sort of thing. Engage the vibrato. Son, let me tell you something. This amp is sounding glorious. All right, so if we turn the volume down about halfway, it'll clean up a good bit. Something like that. That is such a killer amplifier, but we mainly just want to kind of show off the versatility. This is one of those kind of amps that if the venue will allow it, boy, you could crank this sucker, put a blanket over it, or turn it towards the wall, and buddy, you're just right there in like Danny Gatton, you know, almost territory in a way. You get the idea there. I'm not good at the swells like some people are, but man, it's there. It's there. And as a studio amp, which is really the primary purpose I bought this particular amp for, was to be able to get some crazy tones and some big driving crazy sounds. And I'm not even using high output pickups. If I were to really just push the front end of this amp even more, it'd probably get a little bit dirtier, but when you hit it hard, it really reacts well to your playing style. Man, I don't know, if I went in the studio and had to record a record or something, man, like the Super Reverb or something like a Fender Princeton, definitely right there in the territory you need to be in. But man, that M8 it's kind of its own animal. Let's listen to vibrato a little more. I'll just inch the volume up about halfway. We'll try to clean it up just a bit and listen to it there. It's like, that's it. That's just right there. That kind of stuff, you know. right, let's get rid of the vibrato. Gosh, I mean, I don't know how any other way I can demo the amp. Volume up, want less distortion, turn the volume down a bit. The guitar still remains articulate. What a glorious, glorious recording amp. I mean, it's not quiet by any stretch of the imagination in terms of, I mean, it's loud. That's right where a tube amp needs to be in terms of volume, breakup. The reverb sounds great. The vibrato sounds great. What an awesome amplifier. This is really just intended to be kind of a cool show off of this really neat old amp here. It's Magnatone M8. They are available in a bunch of different configurations. It's kind of what you consider an old school Suitcase style amplifier. They are in varying statuses of disrepair sometimes when you find them. Sometimes you can get them in good working order. One caveat that I will provide to people on this amp is that do not let just anybody work on these amps. These amps are very specific. They have some really weird schematics. Sometimes the wiring's a little weird. The designs can be a little strange. It's not like just pulling apart a standard old Fender and playing around with, you know, the Fenders are so easy to mess with. If you're wanting a vintage amp to take out on the road and go play around and do stuff, you probably want to stick with the Fenders and stuff because they're so much easier. They're much more tech friendly. The M8s, I've got a 480 over there. They're wonderful amps, but they do have a random nest of wiring on the inside, and if any of those wires happen to touch each other, you're going to short something out, you're going to fry a cap, you're going to fry something in there that's going to require care. And they are a little bit on the crazy side to diagnose and repair if you're not familiar with them. So I would that would be one caveat I'd provide, that if you are going to get one of these amps, be sure that you've got somebody you can trust that you know will do a good job with servicing these amps. They are very specific and they do require a certain amount of expertise to understand how they work. But the Achilles heel there is that there are schematics available for them. So if you go online and just search like Magnatone M8 or search Magnatone model 480, any of the Magnatones, the website will pop up with tons of awesome history, information, tube charts, schematics, a whole history of the entire company is online. And Magnatone makes new versions of some of the older amps today as a modern amp. So if you had an older one, maybe you could call Magnatone and see if they could help you, and maybe they can point you in the right direction. But they're awesome amps. I hope you enjoyed today's demo. Hopefully my playing did her some justice. What a cool amp. Guys, we post every Monday and every Friday here on Guitarsenal. Make sure you're tuning in. Sometimes we ramble on. Sometimes we play a little longer than some of the other music channels that are out there. I digress. I apologize, but we like to really let people hear some of the different things that these amps can do. Dude, this amp right here, you don't even need pedals. I mean, you really don't even need pedals. I engaged one of my drives there just to hear it, but not even necessary. This amp is killer. What a cool amp. Guys, thanks very much for watching today, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.